Thank you for joining me on the Fire Rescue Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, AZ. I find the research and resources and then provide the fire service with the so what, now what, to ensure the health and well-being of every member of our profession. Together, let's thrive. Hey, Fire Rescue Wellness Podcast listeners. I want to thank you for joining me today. It's AZ for actually a surprise solo episode. I thought I was going to have a guest this week, but we had some technical difficulties in recording. So we're going to re-record and get that on. That's going to be Brian Newman talking about testosterone replacement therapy, SARMs, and weight loss drugs. So look for that in the very near future. But today I woke up to the following information on my news feed, and it said 12 members of the Tufts University men's lacrosse team were diagnosed with rhabdomyolysis, a potentially life-threatening condition, following a voluntary workout the team held Monday on campus. Five players were hospitalized as of Saturday, according to university spokesperson, who said that the confirmed cases and those hospitalized could change. This voluntary 45-minute workout was led by a Tufts alum and recent graduate of Navy SEAL training. Rhabdo occurs when damaged muscle breaks down rapidly, causing the release of proteins and electrolytes into the bloodstream, which can lead to complications that include kidney failure, permanent disability, or death, according to the CDC. Now, first things first, I would like to acknowledge that we do not know the entire story. And I would like to acknowledge that many times the media outlets take a bit of creative license in their reporting in order to make things more sensational. So I do acknowledge that we do not have the entire story. But what I want to talk about today is the fact that this is not the first time that some sort of coach, and in this case, we have no indication that this person was a coach, Tufts alumni, and recent Navy SEAL graduate. This person could very well be an exercise physiologist, a strength and conditioning coach. We don't know that. All we know right now from the news outlets, Navy SEAL, recent Navy SEAL graduate. This is not the first time that some sort of individual, whether it be a sport coach, a strength and conditioning coach, an athletic trainer, some sort of a guest instructor, has done damage, has done some sort of punishment training session. And usually we can't even acknowledge that it's a training session. It's a workout. This is not the first time that some sort of a individual whose first priority should be taking care of the people that they are tasked to train has hurt them. There have been strength and conditioning coaches sanctioned for putting the players through such a rigorous training session that they have hospitalized them with rhabdo. There have been universities that have settled lawsuits because athletes have been injured by some sort of a person, usually a professional, leading a training session and injuring athletes. So this is sport. And let's also think for a second, Tufts is a Division III school, but these lacrosse players are more than likely quite fit. These lacrosse players are more than likely much more fit than the average academy attendee. And so what I want to really hit on today is how we are teaching and training our academy members, whether that be in a department academy, whether it's in a public academy, it doesn't matter. We need to make sure that the people, the cadre that are tasked with training these people are doing right by these people. I do want to say, though, I understand in a job where we can die. That's as simple as I can put it. We can die. Every day that we go to work, there is a possibility that we could die. In a job that we could die, we want the person on the right side and the left side of us to be qualified, competent, and we also want them to be good enough at their job that if I go down or if I have a problem, they're coming to help me. And they're not going to quit just because they're tired. We want that. But there is such a fine line in between trying to instill that fitness and that go get 'em attitude and that never quit dynamic. Such a fine line between that and abuse. And we also have to think about many of these candidates, physical fitness is not their favorite thing. And so we have an opportunity when they come into the academy. We have the opportunity to help them embrace physical fitness and get more fit and enjoy that process so that they don't want to quit the first day that they walk out of the academy. The other thing that complicates this so much is that we don't know what level of fitness it actually takes in order to be effective at the job. There's some data out there. When people get hired, they have to get 12 METs on their Bruce protocol. But we don't know if that's the minimum standard in order to effectively do the job, or if that's an arbitrary standard. We don't know. When a candidate comes through that occupational health process and they have type 2 diabetes, that doesn't preclude them from going through getting hired at a department. And evidently, neither does obesity, because we're hiring candidates that have type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, obesity. We're hiring these candidates. And so let's go back to the academy. These people are going to be coming through the academy. And yes, some of them are going to wash out. Some of them won't be able to do the most simple physical fitness training sessions. Some of those people will wash out. But the people that don't wash out, we have to be able to train them effectively to become physically fit, to hopefully be physically fit enough to do the job. And so when we use physical fitness as punishment, or we try to punish the classes, I'm using finger quotes, like make the training session so hard that they throw up, or they want to throw up, or they pass out, we aren't doing them any favors. And when we smear on, like peanut butter, we smear on extra physical fitness tasks as punishment when they don't throw the ladder correctly or up to our standards. 5 sets of 50 burpees as your punishment for not throwing the ladder correctly. Those 5 sets of 50 burpees aren't likely going to get that candidate in better physical condition, but they potentially could injure that candidate. And so I would challenge you, if you are part of the cadre, either involved in physical fitness training or involved in training the job tasks, the KPIs, if you will, for these academies, I would challenge you to figure out a different way to, finger quotes again, punish your candidates. Because if they don't throw the ladder correctly, 5 sets of 50 burpees isn't going to make them throw the ladder any better. If you want to teach them to throw the ladder better, maybe what they should be assigned is a class presentation. Extra sets of throwing the ladder. See one, do one, teach one. Come back tomorrow and show me that you have taken in what I told you to do and throw the ladder tomorrow. Like all of these things are going to help the candidate throw the ladder better. But those 5 sets of 50 burpees aren't going to help them throw the ladder better. And if they've already done physical fitness training for the day, there is the potential that those 5 sets of 50 burpees can injure the candidate. And so when we go back to this physical fitness training, yes, the United States is becoming less fit. The trend has been going since the 60s. We're less fit, we're fatter. But we're not going to be able to fix that problem one person at a time in the academy by punishing people with physical fitness. And the other thing that I would ask you to consider is the potential that if you are assigned in the academy as an instructor, and that assignment isn't in your job description, especially if physical fitness instructor isn't in your job description, I would make sure that A, you have some credentials, and B, you get that description in your job description. Because what happens when a candidate gets rhabdo? What happens, God forbid, a candidate arrests during a drill that you're putting them through for punishment? And the department then says, this isn't us, this is on them. And the prosecution attorney goes through your personnel file and sees this isn't even in your job description. It isn't even in your job description, and you killed a candidate, or you put a candidate in the hospital and they have permanent damage and they will never be a firefighter. And so I would ask you to consider this today. I would ask you to consider the fact that just because you are fit or were fit at one point, just because you are a very good firefighter, that doesn't mean you necessarily have the experience and the background to help other people get fit. Because I use this example all the time. My mom is 73, 5. I don't know. My mom is in her 70s. She has MS. But I guarantee you, if I said, Mom, I want you to write down a workout session and just make people hot, sweaty, tired, and in pain, I guarantee she could do it. But hot, sweaty, tired, and in pain doesn't translate to physical fitness gains. And here's the other problem. Now I feel like I'm talking in circles, and I am. My advisor and I, Jay Dawes, have this discussion several times a week. When you're looking at fitness standards, in order to make them defensible in a court of law, it isn't the optimal standard. It isn't the what we want to be the standard. It needs to be the true minimum standard so that someone can effectively and efficiently do this job. And I would like to add asterisk, not die doing it. And so in my experience, there have been, let's go outside of the academy now. Let's go to, we're at your department, and you can probably think of this. There have been candidates hired in the recent past that are so very unfit. And they may or may not be able to do the job tasks well. For the most part, they're not going to do them well because they're new. But when we look at those candidates, then we have to think, are they not doing those job tasks well because they're new? Or are they not doing those job tasks well because they're too unfit to do the job? And further, are those job tasks going to become a danger to them because they are going to die? We have to figure out this problem is much bigger. This problem is much bigger than a Navy SEAL putting 12 people in the hospital. This problem is that our country is getting so unfit that we are a danger to ourselves. The typical high school student is unfit. And those typical high school students, some of them want to be military members, police officers, and firefighters. And it's unsafe for them to do that job because they're so unfit. How are we going to figure this out? The answer, though, is not putting them through intensive, far too difficult physical fitness training sessions too much too soon in our academies. If we don't start slow and build, we don't create physical fitness. We break people down. We need to push them a little bit, let them repair. Push them a little bit, let them repair. Push them a little bit, ad nauseum, wash, rinse, repeat for the rest of eternity. But if we bring them in on day one and just show them what badasses we can be while we stand up at the front and scream at them, faster, higher, more, don't stop, don't quit, while we're drinking a Monster and wearing our hat backwards, we're failing them. We're failing them. This is a conversation that is so much bigger than one little podcast. It's so much bigger than me. It's so much bigger than our tactical fitness and nutrition cohort at OSU. This is a national problem. And so I really hate just bringing you problems. I really hate that. And so I'm going to try to bring you a couple solutions today, but I'm also going to give you a call to action. Let me give you that first so I don't forget. If you have an opinion, a thought, a counterpoint, a conversation about any of this that I have said today, please send me a DM on Instagram at Fire Rescue Wellness. If you don't use Instagram, send me an email, info@firerescuewellness.org. Don't mess up that .org. Somebody took .com. It's .org. Send me your thoughts because we need to get a think tank together because we have firefighters that potentially shouldn't be doing the job because they are a danger to themselves in this job. And we have academies that aren't effectively training their students because they're just dosing out the pain and thinking that's going to solve the problem. So that's your first call to action. The second thing is this. If you are a fire department, if you are an academy, hell, even if you are a candidate or someone who is interested in getting into the fire service, you have to understand that physical fitness matters. People that are physically fit have an easier time doing the job. People that are not physically fit generally have more health challenges. And because of those health challenges, they become a danger to themselves. They could die doing the job that they love. If you are a department or if you are an academy, I implore you to hire someone, contract with someone, find someone to assist you with your physical fitness portion of your academy. Because simply pointing at the most fit people on your department and saying, like, I love Dr. Kelly Kennedy's analogy or her, like, it's like her script. The chief locks eyes with that guy that just did a bodybuilding show and says, you are the one that is going to run physical fitness for the academy. But just because that person did a bodybuilding show doesn't mean they have the expertise nor the experience to help candidates become physically fit. So I ask you to find someone, beg with someone, consult with someone about your academy. And I would say that the answer isn't generally going to be find some sort of like a CrossFit-ish type, high intensity training type gym and bring those trainers in to punish your candidates. I don't think that that's the correct answer. I think you need someone with a good background in strength and conditioning, a good background in working with teams, and a good background in understanding that physical fitness training isn't punishment. I think I already said this. I've been on a soapbox. We need to put together a think tank. We need to put together all of our brains and figure out what are the ways to make our candidates more physically fit before they even hit the academy floor. And then once they're there, how do we sort of nurture this growth in physical fitness and strength and their conditioning? How do we do it? I did things in a little bit different order this week. I'm going to do the sort of announcements and life updates last now. I just got back from the Women in Fire conference. It was last week. It was so dope. It was so good. They do such a great job. I was able to network with so many firefighters from around the country. The presentations were amazing. Make sure to block 2026. Austin, I think it's Austin, 2026. It's going to be hot, but hoping to do some actual research while that conference is going on. So more to follow on that. Second, big announcement. If you are a female firefighter, law enforcement officer, or military member, block off this day, May 9th, 2025. It's only one day. It's a Friday. May 9th, 2025. OSU OKC is putting together a Women in Tactical Human Performance Summit. One day, but it is going to be amazing and you're going to want to be there. If you want to make sure you get all the information about that, make sure you're on my mailing list. So head over to the website, sign up for the mailing list. What else? I think that's it. 7-Minute Science is coming again in October. It is a practitioner version. Megan Lautz, the Rescue RD, Vanessa Frost, firefighter strength coach, and one more guest to be determined. That's going to be our presenters for that date. Oh, and one last thing. If you are going to Science at the Station at the National Fire Academy first weekend of October, make sure and send me a message. I'm going to be there. I would love to link up and talk shop. I think that's it. I'm going to drop the mic. AZ is officially out. Have a great week.